Another example of this is a famous example in the scientific community. It's called Pavlov's experiment. This scientist called Pavlov, he demonstrated the effect of conditioning the mind by training the dog to salivate. What he does is this. First he rings a bell. Then he gives the dog the food in a bowl. And the dog happily wag his tail and then salivate because of the food in front. So every time he does that, ring the bell first, then give the food. Then the dog will respond. Eventually, after some training, some conditioning, what he does is, he just ring the bell, no food. The dog will still wag his tail, salivate. No food, but it will salivate anyway because of the bell. So that is another example of conditioning. Of course, this type of conditioning is gradual conditioning. You have to reinforce it many times. Then it gets conditioned, it gets imprinted into the subconscious mind. Okay, but we can also be conditioned by just a single event, a single act, a very emotional one. Then that event could be imprinted into our mind, and it becomes something that drives us. This one, I will share with you my personal experience. Right. Some of you may remember May 13, 1969, the racial riot in Malaysia. Okay. At that time, I was a little boy. Yes. On that day, May 13, the government extended a curfew because of the racial riots. And where I stay, there were some soldiers patrolling in their patrol cars and in their jeeps. Now, being a young boy, I was curious because I've never seen a soldier before. So when I heard a car coming, and I knew that there were some soldiers in it, I quickly ran out into the middle of the road to take a look at the soldier. Being an innocent child, I didn't know the danger, because the car that came by was a jeep with a soldier driving it, and behind the jeep, it was an open jeep. There was a submachine gun with another soldier holding it. When I ran out, my mother panicked, so she screamed. And the soldier who was holding the submachine gun was looking elsewhere. When he heard the sound, he turned with the submachine gun pointing right at me. When I saw the machine gun, I froze. Somehow I knew that was dangerous. So my mother quickly ran out of the house, grabbed me, pulled me back in. But that shock of seeing the soldier with the submachine gun pointing the gun at me was enough to imprint the fear of uniformed men. From then onward, whenever I see a policeman, I start to shake. For no reason. Not that I have done something wrong, but I will just shake. So much so that when I see, let's say I'm walking in town, and I see the policeman there, and that's where I want to go, I go the other way. Just to avoid the uniformed man. That fear was already imprinted. But as I grow up, fortunately I was aware that this is an irrational fear. There's no reason why I should be fearful. It was irrational, so I worked on it, and eventually I was able to overcome it. Nowadays, when I see a policeman, there's no more fear. But I had to work hard. I had to actually face my fear. To purposely, when I see the policeman there, walk past him. But each time I walk past him, very fearful. But the more I do that, the more I realize nothing to fear. And soon I relearn something, nothing to fear. So I walk past without any more fear. So I have to replace that fear with a new belief that there's nothing to fear about policemen. Okay? So this is what happened to us. This is why we crave for things. It is conditioned into us because of our past behavior, of our past experience, either in this life or in a previous life. Okay? And the same way we crave for food, we crave for a certain lifetime, is because it has all been conditioned into our mind. Who says that you need a big house, a big car, and all the nice things in order to be able to live a decent life? The Buddha didn't say so. But who says? The TV, the media, the newspaper, all the people who are trying to sell you these stories, they're the one who tells you and who has imprinted that into your mind. And so you're convinced that yes, in order for me to be successful or seen as successful, this is what I should have. But we don't have to. In fact, the Buddha's message is for us to unclutter the mind. Don't put too much things into the mind. We need very little to be happy. I know of one person who, if he gets his father's inheritance, he will be one of the richest men. Yet, he chose not to. He chose to renounce and become a monk. Because he knows his priorities and because he truly understands the Buddha's teaching well. And of course he become a Buddhist monk. Okay? So sometimes we have to recondition ourselves. Okay? And in fact, if you want to be free of a lot of sickness, this is what you need to do. You have to recondition your mind. Right? Now, I can also tell you of a story of a nun who had cancer, and she was able to cure herself of that cancer. I think some of you may have heard of her or may have read a little booklet that was published based on her stories. I'm not sure anyone have heard of it. Anyone? No. There was a nun who had cancer. I can't remember what type of cancer she had. But the moment she was told she had cancer, of course she will go to the doctor, get the diagnosis, get the treatment and all that things. But some cancers are not amenable to treatment, not in the Western medication anyway. But what she decided to do when she knew that she had cancer was that, because I have only a short time to live, I will devote all my time to meditation, improving myself. The way she thinks is like this: if I meditate, if I purify my mind, perhaps I can cure my cancer. But even if I don't cure my cancer, the act of meditation would have purified my mind so much that I will not be so affected by the illness, and at least I could be reborn perhaps into a more fortunate state next time. Okay? So she spent her time meditating. And she meditate and she meditate. Day and night she meditate. She make it a habit, even in her daily work, to be doing things slowly in mindfulness, meditation. I think after about, it wasn't short time, it was a long time, but she has made meditation a regular part of her life. After about half a year or 1 year, I can't remember exactly, she went back to see the doctor, and to her surprise, her own surprise, the doctor said the cancer is no more there. What did you do? She didn't do anything, she says. I just meditated. I just keep my mind pure. I don't think even about the illness. I don't even think about the cancer that I have. I just make sure that every time I think or I'm aware of a thought, that thought is a pure thought, is a good thought. Okay. And that's all I did. And to her surprise, the cancer was gone. Of course, the doctor says, a miracle has happened. And it's true, a miracle has happened because the mind has changed. And when she looked back, she realized that before she had the cancer, she was like everybody else, worrying about this, worrying about that. House leaking, good house, nice house leaking, also headache. Nice big cars, car spoil, also headache. Then have to think about children, this and that, all kinds of things, family members, things like that. But the moment she decided to give up all of this and just focus on cultivating her mind, All her worries are gone, of course. Her mind is no more focused on the negative. Her mind is constantly focusing on the positive. And so, positive mind, positive emotion, positive body. The body heals itself. So the mind heals the body. Just like the lady with asthma. The moment all her emotional conflicts and all her mental conflicts are removed, the asthma disappeared. And that's what we call a miracle. And there's another story of a doctor who had cancer. This doctor had a cancer 6 months after his son passed away. And his son passed away because that day he wanted to drive. I think the son was about 16 or 18 years old, just old enough to drive a car. And the father said, okay, take my car. So he drove, and he was involved in an accident and he died. Of course, the father blamed himself to have allowed the son to drive his car. It was a simple, I mean, at that time when he made the decision, it was a simple decision. After all, my son can drive. He wants to go out, I let him use my car. You won't imagine something terrible could happen. But it did, and the son died in the accident. And he felt guilty. 6 months after that, he was diagnosed of having a cancer. Now, I tell you these stories not to say that if you do have a cancer or if you have an illness, if you do the same thing that these people do, you don't have to listen to the doctor and you can throw away all your medicine. No, okay. Please do consult your doctor. Don't just do things on your own, okay? But you can do this together, okay?